The third option is import your personal credit cards as one transaction with item level split. So no integration, so very manual, but neatly separate. Create an expense report from the credit card statement, listing each charge separately. Reimburse the employee for each item on the report monthly. When entering into QBO, split the transactions showing each charge separately. So basically, this is your typical expense report scenario. You submit an expense report. When you enter it as a split, and you do the split based on the item level. So you break, if you have like a $1,200 reimbursement for the month of August, then you reimburse, then you break that $1,200 up by the item, things you purchased one by one. The pros for this is perfect separation of business and personal. Personal transactions are never put in company database. Perfect privacy protection. All transactions are still in QBO as splits and can be reported on. Reporting on splits requires extra skill because splits are not as easily reportable as full normal transactions, but it's still there. So we'll talk about that under the cons. This is really more like a con. So awkward to report on splits. That's just an important thing about this. Once you start doing splits, you still, so if you do item level splits, the item level separation is there, but the way QBO is designed is many reports will not work as nicely on the items of a split as they would work on separate transactions. For example, you can't put a tag on a line item in a split, and you might want to use tags to separate out certain kinds of expenses. So there are just some limitations, but it's kind of like a halfway there option. There's item level data, but it's just not as separate. Cannot tag splits, which would be very useful in cost accounting. So I listed that here. It would be very useful in cost accounting because you might want to tag things you used for a certain job and for certain work, or so to build a certain product, and you just can't tag split items. You have to tag the whole thing, whole transaction. We can only tag full transactions. Extremely manual and take time monthly to prepare for each employee. You notice if you had to report an expense report, if you had to create an expense report yourself, you know that this is a time-consuming process. If this is something you feel you would benefit from in your own business, please schedule a 10 to 15-minute Zoom call with us on our calendar below. This is Konasas, our e-commerce accounting advisor. Thank you for listening.